Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel. My name is Yorkie065 and I'm going to be your commentator for this evening, where we have the final round of Season 15 of the AOR Project CARS 2 GT3 Tier 1 League. All the other leagues with this GT3 Season 15 have now finished. It is just us, as we have the rerun of round 7, which is effectively going to be our final round of the season, as unfortunately when we did previously attempt round 7 4 weeks ago in fact, we unfortunately had a mass disconnection before the halfway mark. So because of that, the race then basically got dumped at the time, and basically got rescheduled for this later date. So here we are, and we're going to be at the Azure Circuit, i.e. Monaco. 3.33 kilometers in length, which is 2.07 miles. Total of 19 turns, and we have a field of 20 to 22 odd GT3 cars, all trying to thread their way through between the barriers. It's going to be a very interesting race, and we have the forecast of the conditions seem to be pretty dry, but we do have some pretty rapid time acceleration on our hands here for this evening's race, and we have just gotten underway with the lobby as well. So we're just going into our 15-minute qualifying session now. But yeah, like I said, we've got some pretty rapid time accelerations. 10 times time acceleration. The in-game time for this qualifying session is midday, 12 o'clock. But the race will start at 1 o'clock in-game time, and we'll be racing through the afternoon, into sunset, and into the night. So the streets of Monaco here will provide a very picturesque scene, a very nice backdrop for the GT3 racing. And despite the walls being as close and as tight as they are, we did actually see some overtaking action on the previous attempt of this race. Hopefully we shall see more of that tonight. Before we get into the actual qualifying session though, let's take a look at the calendar that we had run throughout the season. So we started off in Barcelona, then went to Rouen Les Arts, where we saw for the first time in the GT3 League our 2-race format. It proves to be quite popular both for drivers and spectators. Obviously some drivers didn't really like it, but overall the feedback was very, very positive, as the 2-race format basically allowed drivers to kind of come back in the second race if their first race got negatively impacted in some form or another. We then went to Rapuna GP in New Zealand before coming back to Europe for the Hockenheim GP. We then went to Donington in the UK before visiting the Nürburgring. We then attempted the Azure Circuit race here back on early May. Then we went to China for the Zhuhai Grand Prix, where we had 10 times time acceleration there before Dubai Autodrome, kind of coming towards the end of May. And then what would have been our final race of the season, which happened last week, was Indianapolis Road Circuit. Thankfully, the organisers kept all the barriers and all the grandstands up here in Monaco ready for us for when we came back, so we didn't have to worry about any of that. But after the 9 rounds have concluded, this is the final standings for Season 15 here in Tier 1. As you can see, Andrex, they're in first position with 364 points in total, 53 points clear of Strongest Avenger, and that confirms that he is our Season 15 champion. The most points that you can score in a single race is 51 points, 50 for the win, and then a single point if you get the fastest lap of the race. So Andrex has claimed and sealed the championship here already coming into this round. However, we do have a battle between Strongest Avenger and Inky Chris for that second spot in the championship standings. We'll be fighting over second and third for that matter. As you can see, Alan is there in 4th, Yogurt in 5th position. Fubar, Andrex's teammate, is there in 6th position. And there's actually pretty close between Alan and Yogurt, as we can see, 7.5 points between the pair of them. And then between Fubar and Speedy Go, there's only 2 points, another 7 points between Speedy Go and WMDR Martin. So things are all pretty close there. We've also got Dynamite Alive and Lumi there in 9th and 10th positions. They've only, as you can see, participated in the final quarter of this season and have been putting in some seriously strong results, both of them picking up podiums in all 3 rounds that they have actually competed in, and are therefore obviously going to be trying to score more points here and see if they can get themselves a little bit higher up on the actual leaderboard come the end of the race this evening. But that is the championship standings. This is the qualifying session with 10 minutes and 40 odd seconds to go. So at the moment, Lumi is in a provisional pole position there in his Lamborghini, squirming away a little bit as he's coming into turn 3 there. Massenet all coming through Casino Square and dropping down the hill down towards the Mirabeau hairpin. See if we can pick up a driver who is going to be on a fairly fast lap. That's quite a big lag spike there. Strongest Avenger, I choose you, sir. We'll jump on board with him and we shall do a, or at least attempt to do, a bit of a hot lap riding on board, talk you through the circuit. Got 9 litres of fuel remaining, and he's just coming into the final corner now. So obviously, you want the best drive off that you possibly can. Hopefully, he's going to have a good lap here for us to observe. We've got a car coming out of the pit lane, coming into the braking zone now for turn 1, just skirting the barrier slightly, and again on the exit. Now come up the hill through Beau Rivage, which is turn 2. Little left-hander here. Before we go into the right, then into the long left of Massenet, turn 3, down into 2nd gear, then come into Casino Corner, again holding the car in 2nd as well. Now drop down the hill into the Mirabeau hairpin, down into 1st gear this time with 2 tenths up on our previous fastest time. We then come into the Grand Hotel hairpin, slowest corner on the circuit and probably of near enough any corner on the calendar. Just gone through turn 7, we're now coming through turn 8 and clobbered the outside tyre stack, and that's ruined a nice little hot lap, unfortunately. But we'll pick up Yogurt, who is coming through pretty much the same part of the circuit. So into the Grand Hotel hairpin now, down to 35-40 kilometers an hour, then come through Mirabeau Basse, now through Portier, and then we come into the tunnel. We're doing a little bit of tyre weaving, so Yogurt's not on a flying lap, but we'll continue to call out the lap anyway. We now come down into the braking zone for the Nouvelle chicane, down into 1st gear, cut the curb, try and get the good drive coming off the exit, then come on the run towards turn 12 to back corner, pretty medium speed left-hander, 2nd gear, before we then come into the swimming pool complex in 3rd gear, dropping it down into 1st, although probably holding it in 2nd, that proper race space through 15 and 16. Then come into La Rascasse hairpin here at the end of the lap before coming into turn 18 and 19, and we're back onto the start-finish straight once again. So that's pretty much a summary of the lap here. As you can see, the pit exit comes right out onto near enough the racing line, although the majority of the drivers do tend to be hanging to the left of that pit exit line there. Yeah, Yogurt currently holding the provisional pole position. Strongest Avenger's got himself a provisional P2 at the moment, but he's on an out lap. He was previously 2 tenths of a second up. There is Lumi in 3rd at the moment. He is just coming towards either the end of an out lap or the start of a flying lap. He's got quite a nice bit of space up there in front of him. Dynamite Alive currently in 4th position. Also looks to be on an out lap as he's cruising, doing some tyre weaving and trying to get the temperature into the tyres. Oh, that's 2 drivers there into the outside wall. The first was As Turbo, the green Mercedes AMG that we see in the picture here. And I believe the second was Alan, who's jumped back to the pit lane in the grey and yellow Mercedes AMG. Our championship winner, Andrex, He's just coming out onto the start-finish straight now, taking a very wide line, trying to basically extend his run down towards the start of his lap in order to basically try and come across the start-finish line with as much speed as he possibly can. So he's just making his run to the start-finish straight, or start-finish line, should I say, a little bit longer, trying to build up a little bit more speed before he gets there and actually begins his lap. Andrex underway on a flying lap now. WMDR Martin coming out the pit lane, got the windscreen wiper on as he always does, no matter the conditions. Even out in the basking sun of the Dubai desert, that windscreen wiper was flapping left and right across the windshield of his Lamborghini. Very fond of that animation he is. We then have a name that I cannot pronounce up there at the top of the screen, but is in fact our league coordinator, Stefan Curry. We've got Enki Chris here in the Z4. He's currently down in a provisional P11, 2.4 seconds off pole position time at the moment. I'm wondering if he hasn't actually got a proper representative lap in as of yet, because I believe he was on looking pretty strong here previously when we did the previous running of this round, and him being in the pretty light, short wheelbase and very nimble BMW Z4, which has an awful lot of aero efficiency, we'd like to think that the car would be pretty good around the circuit. It's improved by 0.6 of a second, there or thereabouts. Got himself now up into 9th place, but he needs to find a little bit more time. It's going to be a little bit difficult with a few cars here in front of him. That's one of the guys getting out the way there. I think that may have been Fubar, Andrex's teammate. Where is Fubar actually in the standings? In 5th place, wiggling around, but indeed he is there behind Inky Chris, who is getting held up unfortunately on his lap. So WMDR Martin we've seen. Pathos we saw earlier on in the session when we very first joined, but he's in a provisional P12 at the moment in his Audi R8 as we've got 4.5 minutes remaining, and he's actually just gone and proved me wrong there, as he's gone and plopped himself up into P9. Trip, the 666 number of the beast Lamborghini, currently there in P13 at the moment. He'll be looking to improve and see if he can get himself a little bit further up the grid for the race. Sean Neves in the 111 black Lamborghini, just going through Portier there and coming into the tunnel. I think he's on a outlap considering he's got his lights turned off. One of the distinguishing factors between those drivers who are on a flying lap and those who are not is the fact that they have their headlights on. It's a nice little way of communicating to other drivers when they're coming up behind them to basically identify whether they need to get out of the way if someone's on a fast lap or not. So Subconan just coming through the swimming pool complex there, turns 15 and 16. Down coming into La Rascas now. He's there in a provisional P15 for the moment. We shall observe him as he comes through the final couple of turns and runs to the start-finish line. Is he going to improve on his lap, or was he just on an out lap? Well, it looked like he's bailed on a lap, so still P15 for the moment. Speedy Go there in P16, the lemon Lamborghini with the blue accent and highlights on his car. Fatworm, he's just going through Mirabeau Bass. Now coming into 48. There he goes in the red and white Audi R8. Looks like that he is on an outlap there. Atomic, Asturbo's teammate, down in 19th position at the moment. Looks like he's got plenty of fuel for a number of laps, although he probably won't need that much for the remaining 2.5 minutes there or thereabouts. Tikanash down in a provisional P20 at the moment as he's just jumped back to the pit lane. And we've got Clank in the Ferrari 488, the only Ferrari that we've seen here in this session and in this round. He's just gone and entered into the tunnel. So where is Jorgek? He is just coming into the last couple of corners now. Inky Chris is also just behind him and he's been dropped down into P11. I wonder if Inky Chris is actually on a lap or whether he's just about to start one. I think he may have been on a lap, but it's half a second off his previous fastest. But with Jorgek being there pretty quick in front of him, he should hopefully have the clear air this time, providing that Jorgek doesn't make any mistakes to actually try and improve. So Trying to stay with him for the moment. It's a massive drift there through Massenet, very well held on with that one. A scuff of the wall coming off the exit of turn 4. 0.06 of a second down on his previous fastest so far. Could potentially be more time to be found though through this lap. As Turbo and Strongest Avenger, they're in second and third positions, have both retired to the pit lane. They're not going to be able to get back out on circuit and round in time to do another lap. We've just seen also Jorgert also retire to the pit lane, already realising that As Turbo and Strongest Avenger have also dropped to the pit. So let's remain with Inky Chris for the moment as he comes into the chicane now. Manages to get it slowed down. It's a pretty good drive coming off of it. He's now 0.03 of a second up, but he's still got plenty of clear air in the final sector here. Just needs a nice tidy run through the swimming pool complex. Fairly good on the entry there. 15 and 16 look fairly good as well, though he's backed out of this lap for the moment, trying to create a little bit more space, and he's got one more opportunity. No, he's retiring back to the pit lane. Wow, interesting. He had the fuel to go for one more run if he wanted to. Must have picked up damage or something like that. So Lumi is now our top contender for potentially taking pole position here in the final minute. He is on a lap coming down into the chicane. Oh, big clobber of the wall there as he's coming off the exit. 9/10 of a second down off his previous fastest though, so I don't think he was going to improve. He's not going to have a chance for another lap either. Dynamite alive though. He's still circulating around, currently in P5. He comes into 13 and 14 now. The exit of that, there are a couple of cars in front of him. Hopefully they won't impede him as we're coming up towards the Raskas. Black 111 Lamborghini of Sean Neves dives into the pit lane, and so does Dynamite alive as well. So he's not going to be improving on his lap time, and that's a nice nifty little overtake there. Paphos looks like he might be on a lap. I assume he managed to get across the line just in time. WMDR Martin also looks like he's on a bit of a lap here as well. 10.5 down off his previous fastest for the moment. Here comes Stephen Curry to the line then. Currently P13, he improves and jumps himself up by one position into P12 ahead of WMDR Martin. Got Atomic coming into the Raskas now. Awful lot of damage to the left hand side of his car, but that's probably not actually representative of what damage he currently has at the moment. He comes to the start finish line. He improves as well, pops himself up also one position up into P18. So Tick and Nash is going to be our next driver. Come to the start finish line. Going through turn 17 now. Nice, neat and tidy. Through the final corner. Looking to get a good drive off here. He's got 45 odd seconds. Get to the line, plenty of time. He comes across the line and jumps himself up into 18th position. Paphos parks it at the exit of the final turn, and that's going to be the conclusion of the qualifying session, the final one that we have here in season 15. So Jorgert takes pole with As Turbo there in second position with Strongest Avenger in third. Lumi in fourth place with Dynamite alive in fifth position. Fubar in sixth with Andrex in seventh. Alan takes up P8 with P9 going to Speedy Go, and Paphos rounding out your top 10. Then got Inky Chris in P11. Stephen Curry in P12 with WMDR Martin in P13. Trip takes up 14th position with Sean Neves in 15th. Sub Conan in 16th place. Tony Clifton in 17th. 18th goes to Tick and Nash. 19th is Atomic Fatworm in 20th position. And then 21st is going to Clank. I will make a slight amendment here where Sub Conan will actually be in P15 and Sean Neves will be promoted down to P16 because of that one grid place penalty, and nobody else picked up any penalties. So that would have come from the speeding in the pit lane there in the qualifying session. But we now advance onto the actual race session, and the guys will have 2 minutes to prepare themselves, recompose, switch into the racing mindset, and make sure that they've got the correct race setup applied to their car, but also have the correct race strategy that they want to deploy here for this final round. Now it's a mandatory pit stop race. It's going to be 60 minutes approximately in length, 38 racing laps with one formation lap. But the mandatory pit stop, drivers will need to serve that at some point throughout the race, anywhere between the end of the first official flying lap and the beginning of the final lap. They cannot do their mandatory pit stop on the final lap, and they don't necessarily need to service the car in that stop. They just need to basically stop in their pit stall and then drive away once their pit crew releases them once again. So obviously, with the walls being close, we imagine we'll probably end up seeing some cars picking up some damage somewhere along the line. Obviously, they'll be using their mandatory pit stop to repair any damage that they potentially pick up. We'll bring up the speedo and also the track map here, as well as other useful pieces of information for this final race. But thank you very much for everybody tuning in and coming and saying hello in the live chat. Please do give us a wave if you are there, and who you are putting your money on, as it were, for taking the race win for this final round of Season 15 here at the AOR Project CARS 2 GT3 Tier 1 PC League. So we've just been given the green light, but as you can see, the driver's not roaring away at racing speed, and that is because we have a manual formation lap here for the drivers to do. They're going to go drive around at a reduced speed around the circuit, and basically they were allowed to do some tyre weaving. They're allowed to try and maintain the temperature in their brakes as well, but they must remain in single file formation. Now usually we will come to a formation point towards the end of the lap where the drivers will reduce their speed a little bit further and form up into a 2x2 formation. However, they will not be doing that here in this race, as the league coordinators have obviously decided that for safety reasons we're going to be doing a single file rolling start, so effectively treating it as if we're doing a safety car start here for this round. But yeah, anywhere between the Motul Bridge on the start finish line and around the grid boxes and the actual start finish line itself, when Yoga can put his foot down to begin the race, he has to do it in one smooth motion. He cannot accelerate and then back off again and basically try and coax people into jumping a start or anything like that. It creates a dangerous situation. Once he puts his foot down, once he puts his foot down, that's it, we're underway racing. And usually you can't overtake the car in front of you, directly in front of you in your train before you get to the start finish line, but obviously with this being a single file formation start, I was made to treat that a little bit different. So Yoga really backing up the pack here, allowing the drivers at the tail end of the field to close up and get themselves quite nicely into formation. See that the lead is just coming through the final turns now, as a few drivers are still on that short little dash between turn 16 and Brascas hairpin. So any time between now and the start finish line we could be underway racing, and we are go for the final round here of Season 15. Strongest Avenger already coming under pressure a little bit from Lumi. Coming into the first corner, but things look pretty neat and tidy thus far. A lot of the drivers filtering through the picture as they come through turns 1 and 2. It's all looking pretty good. Subconin under a little bit of pressure from Sean Neves behind, but let's jump back up to Lumi, who's all over the rear bumper of Strongest Avenger, having a look to the inside as they come down into the Mirabeau hairpin. Not quite able to do anything and pull up alongside there, and Strongest Avenger actually came very close to the tail end of As Turbo. They're filtering through the Grand Hotel hairpin there. There's Sean Neves trying to nip up the inside of Subconin, who's just about giving him enough racing room, but wasn't able to do anything with that. And again, things are looking very nice, very clean so far. For the moment, Strongest Avenger is applying the pressure on As Turbo, though, who is losing ground to Yoga. Already 1.7 seconds between the race leader and second position. The Strongest Avenger obviously keen to try and get past As Turbo as soon as possible and see if he can hunt down for the race win, but obviously it needs to keep a level head. Those walls are awfully close. He obviously wants to try and keep his car out of the barrier and try and hold on to that second position in the championship. He's currently 22 points clear of Inky Chris, who's down in 11th position, which is the position that he started in. But if Strongest Avenger was to have a terrible race and have a big incident, he could potentially see himself losing that second position in the championship, depending on how well Inky Chris manages to perform and whether he actually manages to climb up the leaderboard. I'm actually going to, for my own reference sake, basically figure out how many points you actually get for 11th position, and it's currently only 10 points, so Inky Chris is going to need to finish in 6th position with Strongest Avenger out of the points in order to take that second championship position away. Here we coming into the Grand Hotel Open. Lumi has a look down the inside of Strongest Avenger, nips that final podium spot away from him. I think there was a slight touch on the back of As Turbo's car there at the apex as well, but no real harm or foul done there. Strongest Avenger playing the safe game, letting Lumi basically take the inside line there, didn't turn in on him. Better thought, let's just let that one slide and think of the long game here in this race. Oh, it goes a little bit deep there under braking. Coming into the chicane, obviously running in the dirty air. Brake performance isn't quite as strong as running in the clear air. And Yorgo absolutely running away with this race already. So coming towards the end of the second racing lap, almost 3.5 seconds up the road from As Turbo. Big question is, how long will As Turbo be able to hold these drivers behind him? Will he be able to hold a level head and control that pressure, or will he crack and make a mistake? He's not had the best of seasons so far. So far in this race he's having a pretty good strong showing. Again, nice and smooth there through the first corner as well. We're coming up the hill now towards Beau Rivage. Nice 4-car train with Dynamite Alive trying to latch onto the back of Strongest Avenger, who's dropped a few car lengths to Lumi at the moment, but still there, very much in contention, sitting pretty happy. Tripper's got a time penalty that I can see to his name. His position is being indicated with the red marker as the drivers filter on through. Here is WMDL Martin, very much under pressure from Tripp. There it goes a little bit deep coming through the Mirabeau hairpin, but holds on to the position for now as they're coming into the slowest part of the circuit. Oh, excuse me. See just how slow the cars are there. Got Alan and Andrax 7th and 8th position, fairly close to one another. Trying to hold on to the back of Fubar, who's trying to hold on to the back of the train up in front of him. And we've got Strongest Avenger and Lumi swapping positions coming through into the swimming pool complex. Possibly a mistake from Lumi coming through to back that opened up that door and allowed him on through. Strongest Avenger is still in 4th position. Dynamite Alive is now up into the final podium spot in P3, so he's gained 2 places there. Slight clobber of the wall from Strongest Avenger. Hopefully he didn't pick up too much damage from that, but you can see that As Turbo has dropped these guys a little bit, so Lumi must have had a mistake somewhere along the line, or Dynamite Alive has managed to pull off an absolute belter of a move to gain 2 positions somewhere along the line, and what must have happened in and around the Nouvelle chicane. We've got 2 drivers into the pit lane, Paphos and also Tony Clifton. They're both in to serve their mandatory pit stops. Do they have any visible damage? It looks like there's a bit of damage on the right hand side of Paphos's car. Tony Clifton is coming out of the pit lane. Doesn't look like there's any visible damage on his car for the moment either. So let's jump back up to the battle at the head of the field. Strongest Avenger dropped. Fubar and Lumi's now actually dropped down into P6. So I think Lumi has had a pretty big clobbering of the wall somewhere along the line. Potentially have picked up some damage. Andrax is now closing down on him as Lumi goes deep and runs across the chicane there, rejoins back in behind Fubar once again. Doesn't look like he's gained any real advantage from that. Gap looks pretty much about the same between himself and Andrax, so that's pretty well calculated by Lumi there, rejoining in a fairly safe manner as well. Saw Andrax also wiggling the rear end of the car out a little bit coming through turns 13 and 14, and indeed Lumi diving into the pit lane here, very close to the barrier stack that's there at the pit lane entry. Here he comes peeling into his garage now. It looks like that the front right side of the bumper maybe ever so slightly dislodged. That was a very quick pit stop there by him, so I think Lumi has had a slight clobber with the wall somewhere along the line. He now comes out onto the circuit. That's WMDR Martin and Tripp just going through the picture there in the foreground. So they accelerate away, and that is not going to be good for Lumi. He's not going to be best pleased with that. Down in 13th position, and he's got two cars immediately there in front of him, so it's not like he can basically crack on with his usual race pace and start putting in the hot laps, as Tick and Ash is also into the pit lane. Chris is now up into P9. As we can see, he's got Stephen Curry behind him. Speedy Go just in front, so two cars for fairly close proximity. Lap times seem to be pretty good, faster than Speedy Go on the previous lap, faster than a number of drivers up in front of him as well, in the low 34s. So he just needs to keep a nice level head, work his way through the field and take the opportunities when they come to him, and it is safe to do so. But yeah, he's got quite a long way to go, as we can see. Let's jump back up to the battle for what is now P2 between Ass Turbo and Dynamite Alive. Dynamite having closed the gap down. On the previous lap took, well, shall I say 2 laps ago, it took about half a second out of him, 0.6 of a second on the previous lap. So Dynamite Alive has got the pressure, got the pace over Ass Turbo at the moment, but Ass Turbo holding his nerve still. They're only 3 seconds off the back of Yogurt. 10th off of his previous fastest on this lap. He's actually taken a good, what is that? That's 7.5 tenths that Ass Turbo took out of Yogurt on the previous lap. So Ass Turbo really starting to try and pick up the pace a little bit here. The faster guys behind him and see if he can close back up onto the race lead. Yogurt may have potentially pushed his tyres a little bit too hard in the opening laps. We shall see if anything comes to fruition with that. Fubar still lurking there in 5th position. Andrex and Alan, we can see still in 6th and 7th, and in the background Speedy Go and Inky Chris. There they are. They've dropped Stephen Curry, we can see. Just coming through the picture there. He's now 7.5 seconds off the back. Lumi is very, very close to the rear end of Tripp. Has won the run down to the back now. Slinging it into turn 12. Tripp going out into the wall on the outside. He's out very wide there. Lumi wanted to try and slip past coming into the swimming pool complex, but wasn't quite close enough to pull up alongside and stick his nose in. So he still remains behind for the moment. Wonder how much damage Tripp may have picked up there with that incursion with the Armco barrier. Stephen Curry is now into the pit lane, serving his mandatory pit stop, no doubt probably repairing any damage that he picked up from a mistake that I believe he had made on the previous lap. Atomic is now into the pit lane as well from P14. Chris still very close to the back of Speedy Go, as we can see. Gap between Alan and Andrex seems to be round about the same as it was before. Dynamite Alive, Ass Turbo and Strongest Avenger all fairly close, although that was a little bit deep there by Dynamite Alive. This is going to bring Strongest right up onto the rear wing of him. He's not going to be able to get close enough though to try and make a move coming into the back corner. So he follows him through for the moment, gives Ass Turbo a little bit more breathing room, but that was Strongest Avenger heavily into the barrier there, going through the swimming pool complex. Wonder if he picked up any damage from that. He continues on round for the moment, seemingly happy to continue, so he may got away with that one. It looked like a pretty hefty impact with the wall. Still he presses on. Maybe still very close. Whoa, that's WMDR Martin who's had a spin there at the exit of 15 and 16, just as we picked up Tripp and Lumi coming through that complex of those two corners. heard the revs drop from a car, and it was Martin just spinning on the exit there. Fortunately, there was a car width on the outside for both Tripp and Lumi to slip on through without collecting the rear end of WMDR Martin, but that would have been very much a heart-in-mouth moment. Looks like Martin managed to avoid contact with the wall, so he continues on for the moment with the windscreen wiper still going, but brought Tripp and Lumi now up into 10th and 11th positions. They're pushing on. Inky Chris is still staring at the back of the lemon Lamborghini of Inky Chris. Jorgo has really turned up the whip now, a 31.8 on the previous lap. Brought the gap between himself and As Turbo to over 4 seconds now. Nearly 4.5 seconds. And As Turbo once again has got his mirrors full of the Lamborghini behind him. They're very brightly multicoloured. Looks like it's been painted by a 5-year-old Lamborghini, but it certainly does look fantastic. Hope that 5-year-old got paid very, very well for that paint job, that livery. Coming up the hill now, through Beau Rivage, accelerating up through the gears, down into third, down into second, come through Massenet, threading the needle between these Armco barriers. Kind of open up the track a little bit in some places and then tighten the track back up once again. There goes Yogurt just going through Maribo Bass. And the 3 cars following 4 seconds down the road, and Dynamite Live is very, very close to the rear end of Alan as we're coming through. Portier there, going through the tunnel, trying to use the slipstream, but the Mercedes got some pretty good legs underneath it, making full use of the Nikes to try and sprint away and hold the V10 Lamborghini, trying to pounce. A bit like a cheetah chasing a gazelle, darting and weaving around through the corners of the track. The cheetah just trying to get close as he possibly can to try and pounce, take the position. Again, gets very close there through the apex of turn 1, but Constantina accordion effect, slowing down through a corner and then accelerating off it. Very much visible there. As Turbo loses about a car length and then regains it again on the exit. And the little squiggly swirly things that you see there on the back of the car aren't actually track maps or anything like that. It's going to be damage marks. It looks quite cool. It does look like track maps. My God, we're getting very close to the rear end of the Mercedes here. Almost flicking and plucking away at that rear bumper, nudging and trying to take little bits off the diffuser from the Mercedes in front. As you can see in the important places where the straights and the heavy braking zones are, Dynamite Alive isn't quite close enough, and my God, that was a heart and mouth moment for him as he almost lost the car there coming through the chicane. Manages to hold on to it and managed to avoid the tyre stack at the end of the barrier there. But we can also see that Strongest Avenger has actually now dropped down into 5th position on the previous lap, I believe. Previous lap time was 5 seconds slower than anyone else's. He's lost the position to Fubart. I think, no, he hasn't gone into the pits. That Romero before he gone into the pit lane, but he was just going through the final turn. So Strongest now down in 5th place. Andrex and Inky Chris. Little change of positions there. I think Andrex and Alan changing positions there. I think Andrex may have got a little bit bored and a little bit annoyed with Mercedes AMG filling his mirrors. And has decided that he wants to have a good look at the rear end of that car instead, and allows Alan to go on through. Inky Chris now up into 8th position. Got himself ahead of Speedy Go, who's had an absolutely terrible lap 2 laps ago. 149 138 this time. I don't know whether he's actually been through the pit lane or not. I didn't see if he did. Lumia's, I know for certain, our leading driver who's been through the pit lane. He's there in 9th position, as we can see. Rinky Chris has got plenty of free air now. Try and press on. 8 seconds off the back of Andrex. But he's got a lap car between himself and Lumi behind. So he doesn't have to worry there about that. Instead, he just needs to focus on his pace and see if he can try and pick up a few positions from the guys up ahead. Obviously, he needs to work the gap down first before he can actually do that, because he's a long way back off the tail end of them for the moment. Andrex looks like he's struggling a little bit with the rear end of the car. Moving on for Braskas. Hopefully he can look after the tyres a little bit more. But with championship sealed and done with his name etched onto the trophy, he's obviously not too worried about the result here in this race, and instead is just driving around for sheer thrill and fun of it. Let's jump back up to Dynamite Alive. He's looking all over the Akavas Turbo, looks and nips down the inside, coming through the Grand Hotel hairpin. Nice, smooth, clean overtake there. And that is Dynamite Alive up into 2nd position. We saw him very close at the exit of Mirabeau, and he managed to get a nice little switch back there on that little run down into the hairpin and nip underneath the Mercedes AMG in the braking zone. As Turbo did a fantastic job of giving him the racing room. Nice and fair, respectable racing between the two of them. That has now unleashed Dynamite Alive into 2nd place, and this has brought Fuba right up onto the back of these two drivers as well. So for the moment it's a bit of a 3-way fight, but I think Dynamite Alive will probably start to pull away from As Turbo a little bit. Fuba will be the man pressuring the Mercedes for the next handful of laps. We've got a battle between Fatworm, Clank and Paphos. Paphos leading Fatworm, leading the Ferrari 488 driver of Clank there, as we can see. Clank's car looks a bit battered and bruised at the front there. But he has been through the pit lane, I'm pretty sure. And I imagine that he has actually got that damage repaired, unless he's picked it up in the last few laps. Let's jump to this battle here for 3rd position between Fuba and As Turbo. To the hairpin once again. As Turbo lost the position just a lap ago. Holds on to one for the moment. Fuba looks pretty keen to try and make a move where he possibly can, although his engine's looking pretty hot there, 111 degrees C, 12 degrees C as we come into the braking zone. Probably a few drivers running the radiator ducts reasonably close. Obviously, the Azure Circuit here, not one where you gain an awful amount of speed in these GT3 cars. So engine cooling is a bit of a premium around here. The drivers have opened up their radiator ducts to try and allow as much airflow as they possibly can coming through. But we've got Tony Clifton into the pit lane there, as well as Stephen Curries. He rejoins back out onto the circuit. We've got who's coming up behind there. His strongest Avenger coming up behind him. So Tony Clifton going right back into the mix of the leaders. Fuba is, oh no, oh dearie me, there has been quite a bit of a mess there at the top of the hill. Strongest Avenger involved in that, I think, potentially. He's going to lose the position here to Alan coming down into the Mirabeau hairpin. Indeed he does. He's not going to be able to fight that one back. But I think there may have been a collision between Dynamite and Live. He's now down into 3rd place. And I think there may have been Atomic that was caught up in that. Indeed it is, as he's retired to the pit lane. No, he hasn't. He's Wow, okay, Atomic's still stuck there up at Casino Square. Oh dear, we've got very much a bit of an Austin Powers moment here. Oh, please, the car coming through, I hope he avoids him. Does indeed, Sean Neves. So Atomic really struggling to get the car around here. Seems to be stalling it each time that he moves as well. He's now back underway, but I think Dynamite Alive and Atomic may have had a coming together. Don't know whether that was whilst Dynamite Alive was trying to pass Atomic, or whether Atomic had spun and then Dynamite Alive just unfortunately got caught up in it. But that all set off a string of events with a number of drivers getting caught up in a bit of a fight there. I think Fubar gave a flash of the lights to allow Dynamite Alive to go on through, and indeed he does, coming through Mirabeau there. Fubar not too worried about keeping hold of that second position and just letting Dynamite Alive go through. Where's As Turbo dropped down to? He's just come out of the pit lane just ahead of Lumi in 8th position. I think he got involved in that contact and may have ended up collecting one of the cars there as they're trying to recover back onto the circuit. So he's just been served in this mandatory pit stop. It's actually repaired some of the damage, if any damage was picked up in the incident, but crucially for him, he's come out just ahead of Dynamite Alive. He'll be very happy with that. Inky Chris is just 5 seconds up the road. Seems to be falling off the back of Andrex though. The gap is now 10.5 seconds, so Inky Chris really holding candle here too much in terms of having the pace to try and catch the guys up in front, take the positions away from them. Andrex is now right onto the back of Strongest Avenger. Alan's now up into 4th place. So that incident that we saw just a couple of laps ago up at Casino Corner really shuffled the top 2 to 5, 6 drivers around a little bit. It's completely dropped As Turbo out of the picture for the moment. Obviously these drivers are still yet to serve their mandatory pit stop, so we'll see what happens when they come in, how much damage they need to repair and where they actually end up coming back out onto the circuit. Atomic's now back out onto the track and gets out of the way there of Strongest Avenger and Andrex. Came through Casino Square and into the old hairpin they go. Things are getting a little bit interesting with the lap traffic starting to come into play a little bit as Alan's closing up onto the back of Clank, as we can see. Let's hope that Clank stays nicely out the way. Does so in a nice, good, safe spot. Allows Alan to go on through without being impeded. That's a very good cooperation there from the Ferrari driver. Let's do a penalty update as we're here on 16th racing lap. Dynamite Alive has got a 1 second penalty, so is Strongest Avenger. 2 seconds apiece for Lumi, Speedy Go, and also Trip. Stephen Curry also has a 2 second penalty, with Clank, Tony Clifton, and Atomic all with a 1 second penalty as well. So, yeah, now that As Turbo has served his mandatory pit stop, as well as Lumi, and have both come back out onto the circuit. Now, seeing the battle between As Turbo and Lumi starting to unfold. Atomic was trying to get out of the way there of his teammate and the Lamborghini coming on through. I think Atomic may be retiring from the race here with a little bit too much damage on his car. Quite far down now and a number of laps behind. Not really worth too much for him to continue other than trying to pick up championship points, which he'll pick up 2. He was to make it to the checkered flag in that 90th position that he currently holds. But yeah, just driving around the streets here of Monaco and trying to stay out of the way of everyone else as they're lapping you isn't particularly fun sounding experience. But he's back out onto the circuit either way, so fair play to him. Good props and respect there for sticking it out and not giving up. And, those championship points could be fairly vital. He is... where is Atomic? down in 34th position. But if he picks up 2 points, he'll end up jumping ahead of Barrett's, and Baptista take 32nd place in the overall standings. So obviously not ideal where he probably would have liked to have been, but at least he'll gain a couple of positions here in the final round, providing he makes the checkered flag. Here's Dynamite alive in the pit lane. I think he's got quite a bit of damage here as he's being sat remain stationary for quite a long time. We just need to ignore the pit crew animations that we see there, as they are not actually in sync or representative of what's actually going on. Well, he's now back out onto the track, and that is As Turbo, I believe, who's just coming through the picture there. Indeed it is. Very close between As Turbo and Dynamite Alive, but Dynamite Alive comes out ahead just about, I think, Strongest Avenger. Has he been through the pit lane, or has he had a serious incident somewhere along the line and dropped quite heavily down through the field, as he's now down in 7th position? My god, that was very close there to the tyre stack on the exit of the Mirabeau hairpin there. He's now down in 7th, behind Lumi, who managed to get past As Turbo. Has been unleashed and is well on his way. Turbo 140 on the previous lap. It's not the best of lap times. Ricky Chris is now up into 5th position. If things were to finish as they are, although Inky Chris is in the place that he needs, if Strongest Avenger was to not pick up any points here in this race at all, in order for Inky Chris to take 2nd position in the championship, Strongest Avenger is still running in 7th position at the moment. So 22 points difference. Just have a look at the point standings and try and figure out what positions Inky Chris needs in relation to Strongest Avenger in order to take the championship. So if Inky Chris comes away with the race win, he'll pick up 50 points. That'll mean that Strongest Avenger will need 5th position or higher in order to take the championship. So if Inky Chris was finished, let's say for example Inky Chris finishes in 4th position, which would be 33 points, Strongest Avenger would need to finish down in 10th position in order to hold on to that 2nd place in the championship still. So Inky Chris at the moment really does have his work cut out for him. Running pretty steady in 5th position, but we've still got quite a long way to go. 19 racing laps before we get to the checkered flag, and anything can happen in that time, as we have seen. There were points where the race was looking like it was starting to settle down somewhat, and then all of a sudden things got very, very spicy. Strongest Avenger really looks like he's struggling with his tyres a little bit, running deep in a number of places, possibly also running quite hot in terms of brake temperatures. Probably could be a cause of him running deeper than he would like to be. Andrex is closing up onto the rear of Alan once again, as Dynamite Alive is closing up onto the back of Strongest Avenger. So there are still cars that are reasonably close to one another around the circuit. As you jump on board with Andrex, hear that nice lovely V10 screaming away here in the streets of Monaco, as you may have picked up earlier on, the shadows were moving around a fair amount, and the shadows are certainly starting to get a fair bit longer, so we could be on our way here into the sunset conditions. Slight clover of the wall there from Andrex. So there is a very slight yellowish hue starting to creep into the picture now. as the sun is starting to set. Obviously, Monaco is surrounded by the hills and the Mediterranean Sea. So once the sun does start to set, it does reasonably darkish fairly quickly as the hills fade the sun and make the shadows much longer, much sooner. We'll soon be coming into sunset, and things are going to get very, very pretty here with the Project Cars 2 and the Slightly Madness engine. Dynamite alive, still chasing down Strongest Avenger, lurking in and around a second at the moment. It looks like Lumi's getting close to the back of Inky Chris as well. Now coming into the Grand Hotel hairpin. See the accordion effect there. Cars slowing down and accelerating. Down to about 0.6 of a second. Probably extend a little bit here as we go through the tunnel. So it is actually starting to come back down as Dynamite Alive is in the slipstream of the Acura in front of him. Also, I think Strongest Avenger has probably got some damage or is struggling with his car a little bit here in this second half of the race. Certainly seems that a number of other drivers around him faring much better and able to put in quicker lap times. Just seem that little bit more comfortable than Strongest does. As you can see, Dynamite Alive is right there, trying to have a bit of a look at the internals of the Acura in front, who's peeled to the left hand side of the track, potentially to try and allow Dynamite Alive to have slipped on through if he had gotten a decent run off the final corners, but wasn't able to quite get the traction off those last two turns. So we still follow the Acura for the moment. Certainly start to see the yellowy, more peachy creamy hue starting to come in now as the sun is disappearing off ever lower towards the horizon. Although Strongest Avenger was a little bit more tidy there through Portier and Marabas in the Grand Hotel hairpin. Managed to eke out the gap once again a little bit. Now Stephen Curry going across the chicane there, staying out the way. We've got Lumi and Inky Chris fairly close to one another. Andrex and Alan also pretty close, within half a second as well. As Tripless is coming into the pit lane. Ooh, Lumi's having a little bit of a look at Inky Chris coming into press cast, but pretty difficult to overtake there unless you get an awful lot of cooperation from the driver that you're trying to pass. I think could be pretty much said for any corner around this circuit. Going through turn one, nice and smooth. Lumi staring at the rear end of the Z4, as we can see. Going through Massenet, nice and smooth from the two drivers. See the glare of the headlights from Lumi's car on the back of the Z4 in front of us. Chris is doing a very good job to remain composed, hold his line for the moment with the pressure from Lumi coming from behind. Just needs to be careful and not take any risks. I think Chris needs to effectively finish this race. Something fairly major to happen to Strongest Avenger in order to pick up second position here in the championship. He ran a little bit deep there going through into the Nouvelle chicane. So Lumi to be a little bit tidier and closed up car lane 4-2. Going through the swimming pool complex now. So looks like Inky Chris is just keeping himself measured, staying nice and calm, not really taking any risks. He doesn't seem to be pushing too hard or getting too close to the walls. Just trying to minimise the risk. to give himself the best possible chances of actually finishing the race here undamaged. Lumi flashing the lights a little bit at Inky Chris. Obviously wanting pass, but Inky Chris is well within his rights here to hold his position and not give up. But this is a pretty good run by Lumi coming off the exit of Casino corner. Lumi, oh, that's really quite horrible lag there. I thought Lumi was going very, very deep. I think Inky Chris probably thought the same as well and gave plenty of room. I think it's just Lumi's connection. He's lagging around all over the place. He's caught the wall in and amongst that lag, but I don't think the damage is actually representative of what's actually happening for him. Chris now back down into 6th position, with that obviously wanting to avoid all potential risk, as Alan and Andrex have once again swapped positions. The Audi R8 leading the Mercedes driver once more, as they were earlier on. Oh, that was very close there by Alan to the oncoming barrier, coming there into turn 18. Jump on board with the Mercedes AMG, climbing up the hill. The hill is actually quite steep and quite long as well in real life. Formula 1 cars and GT3 cars gets up it pretty quickly, no problem whatsoever, but actually physically walking up that hill is yeah, quite the exercise. It is pretty steep. Actually walked all the way around the circuit as I went to 2015 Monaco Grand Prix. It did take a good while to actually walk around that track, and yeah, that hill there was pretty horrible. Coming through the tunnel was pretty cool. Walking through there, finding bits of discarded rubber from tyres that the cars had left over from their practice sessions, and funnily enough, there was actually rubber stuck to the ceiling of the tunnel as well, such that the velocity that the rubber gets flicked off the car, obviously it gets flicked up high into the air at times. Obviously, with the tunnel ceiling being, well, there, it's not necessarily low, but it's there. Whereas obviously, pretty much any other circuit, it's just free air up above the track surface. So yeah, it's quite amusing to walk through the tunnel, look up and see bits of F1 and F2 tyre rubber stuck to the ceiling. Paphos, WMDR Martin, fairly close to one another. Sean Neves we saw was in the pit lane, saw his marker come up saying he was serving a pit stop. My god, Paphos is getting very close here to the back of WMDR Martin, coming through the final corner. Martin is our only pad driver, I believe, here in the Tier 1 league. He's been doing an absolutely fantastic job. Has lucked in to a 2nd position as well at Hockenheim. There was a mass disconnect. Oh, that's a spin by Paphos. Managed to keep the engine running though. Was luckily able to spin in a place and get the car turned back around in a spot that yeah, didn't really affect anyone else. Sean Neves was a little bit slow, possibly having to take avoiding action, and then maybe picked up a slowdown warning. But, yeah, Paphos holds on to P12 for the moment. Now Dynamite Live is the next driver who's all over the back of Inky Chris, coming here into back corner. And things are starting to look very, very nice now with the low light levels, headlights very much on the cars. Still just about enough light to see in and around outside those headlights, and obviously Monaco being a street circuit, there is plenty of trackside lighting as well. Lights on the buildings will be flicking on and providing a very nice backdrop as Dynamite Live not quite close enough to go for the move coming into turn 1. And follow the Z4 coming up the hill here through Beau Rivage. Up now into turn 3, Massenet Coming through the long left-hander. And the cool thing about Massenet is the building on the left-hand side. See if we can pick up a driver who's just about to come up into Massenet in a second. So as we come up on the left-hand side, coming up through here, the building that you see on your left now, just above all those windows in real life, is pictures and scenes of the various races throughout the years that have taken place here at Monaco. Very cool sight to see. I think it was pictures. It was either pictures or they had the year there. And then the drivers that had won each year. But either way, it was very cool to see above that building. At a number of places, very much absorbing the F1 racing culture. The festivities that happen each year in the month of May with the Monaco Grand Prix. They also have the historic Grand Prix racing there as well in the same month as well. And then coming through here, all these buildings on the right hand side underneath the pit lane, those are all bars and restaurants. And yeah, we went down to the circuit on the Friday. They did this. They did it on every day after all the racing action was done. But on the Friday, which was bank holiday, there isn't any racing that happens apart from in the morning. There's a couple of I think F2 Porsche Carrera Cup and back in the day Formula Renault 3.5. Those races, or well, practice sessions I'll say, happened on the Friday morning. And yeah, after that happened, the track was closed. Oh dear, that's Alan into the wall pretty hard there on the exhaust back. That's going to be quite a lot of damage to his car. Just dropped him off the back of Andrex. No doubt he'll probably need to end up diving into the pit line here at some point. Dynamite Alive has managed to get past him. Chris, we missed that one unfortunately. Alan continues on for the moment. He's got 10 laps to go. Car behind him is Pathos. It's not a battle for position, so he's fine there. Lumi is 8.5 seconds off further down the road. But yeah, as I was saying, once again he skirts the wall there in the braking zone and on the exit of the first corner. But yeah, as I was saying, the Friday is a bank holiday on the racing weekend, so all the action happens on the Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a tiny bit on the Friday morning, but in the afternoon they close the circuit off, don't allow any racing action, and they open the circuit up to all the spectators and the general public, which was basically the opportunity that my mates took to walk around the track. And then yeah, there's bars and restaurants there down underneath the pit lane. They all opened up, brought all their tables and chairs out the front onto the circuit, opened up some outdoor bars. There was some DJs there playing music as well. And there was a Monster Energy and a Red Bull stand out there selling drinks. Basically everyone was congregated in and around that part of the track, basically just drinking away, having a good time through the afternoon and into the evening. And obviously it happens on the Saturday night and the Sunday night as well. Quite amusing. Oh dear, that's big and hard into the wall there by Alan. Going through the swimming pool complex. No doubt he's got some severe damage on that car, causing him to go that slow and be really struggling. It's going to be him losing 4th position. He's going to be diving into the pit lane now to no doubt get that damage repaired. Slows down enough before coming into the pits. So Lumi slips on through. That's going to be an awful lot of repairs. But yeah, it was quite amusing coming down to the circuit on 6 o'clock Sunday morning up there on the hill to try and get a decent spot. And basically seeing that the parties in the bars and the clubs down there underneath the pit lane are basically just finished, and the workers trying to clear up the track, pack away all the tables and clear up the rubbish. There's confetti all over the place as well in and around Rascasse. That straight between turns 15 and 16 in that hairpin. My oh my, isn't things looking very, very pretty here now? We are into the night. Skyline of the streets of Monaco, all very nicely lit up. Being lit up by the cars. They thread their way between the walls. Yeah, all in and around here is where everyone was partying and gathering. Even down in here, around this hairpin. And tell you what, it was a pretty fantastic experience to go see Monaco. If you want snippets of it, go check out my YouTube channel, link to the description down below. And alternatively, you can search Yorkie065 Monaco. I believe there's 3 or 4 videos, one for each day that we were there, and then one a bit more of a kind of a general mess around video of all the other tidbits of action that happened over the course of the weekend. But it's not actually as expensive as you may think. We did tickets for the Saturday and Sunday hotel in Nice from Wednesday night into Monday morning, and the flights from the UK to Nice and back, all for £380. Obviously didn't pick up the Thursday ticket because we weren't going to be there. The flight that we had landed basically early evening of the Thursday, so we missed the Thursday action. But Friday you can go down and you can go to pretty much any of the grandstands for free. So we're up on the top of the hill, just here to the left of the picture for a bit, and then coming out the exit of the final corner here, there is a grandstand on the left hand side. We're sat in there. We watched it was actually a GP2 race back at the time. Did have actually a race on that Friday morning, so we watched that from there. It was absolutely fantastic. Very, very loud, as you can imagine. That was back before they turbocharged the cars. Let's go and take a look at our race leader, Jorguk. Sat very comfortable, 17.5 seconds ahead of Fubar at the moment. He's been very quiet here in this race, silently pulling away from everybody behind him. A very strong qualifying. Took that pole position. So far has been leading since the lights went green. I'll move on, won't commentate or curse him with that one. Fubar's still circulating around. It doesn't look like he's got his headlights on at the moment. It's quite amusing, considering how dark it now is. Yeah, and the fact that his tail lights aren't lit up will confirm that he's not got the headlights switched on, but I'm guessing he's fairly happy with the track lighting. Probably feels that it's adequate enough for him to drive round without missing his marks. Nice and smooth there through turn 1. Andrax is now up into P3, but he's yet to serve his mandatory pit stop. In fact, the top 3 are all yet to serve their mandatory pit stop. Lumi, we know, has no front headlights. Looks like he's got damage. Dynamite Alive, we know, has. I don't think Ingu Chris has served his mandatory pit stop yet either. As Turbo has. Strongest Avenger there in 8th position. We know that he's certainly served his. There's a few guys still yet to do their pit stop as we're coming into the final 5 to 6 laps of the race. We've got Alon and Paphos fairly close to one another. So after Alon has repaired all the damage on his car, he's now back out on track in P12. P11 just up there in front of him. The pace that Alon has had throughout the season and throughout the race here, so should see him close up and take the position fairly quickly. This is a nice pinky purple neon light there in Portier. We drop down into the chicane there. That's Dick and Nash Just flashing his lights, letting both Paphos and Alan to step on through. Like the overview there, so we can get a bit more verticality in the screen here and just show off the very nicely detailed city landscape. Now just coming through turns 1, climbing up the hill. Into Massenet we go. Through the left into the right hander of Casino. Watching Alan hunting down Paphos. Battle for 11th position, the 2 closest cars on the circuit. Still got a few drivers yet to serve their mandatory pit stop. We'll see how long it'll be until they go for that. And there, just as we were talking about it, Jorguk pulls into the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit. Looks like Fatworm, they're retired to the pit lane. Stephen Curry also has retired from the race. Jorguk is back rolling once again. Unleashed the pit speed limiter. Now back out onto the circuit, exiting, staying very nicely within the confines of the yellow line there. He comes out ahead of Fubar by 3 seconds there or thereabouts. Hendricks then comes on through. Things look very, very comfortable for Jorguk. Able to get into the pit lane, service mandatory pit stop, and then get back out onto the circuit before Fubar was able to close up. See whether Fubar did actually go into the pit lane or not. I don't think that Andrex has. Maybe still circulating around ahead of Dynamite Alive. He's taken 8/10 of a second out of him on the previous lap. But this now becomes the closest battle on the circuit. Dynamite Alive really starting to turn up the pace here. 25/100ths of a second off his previous fastest. Come through 48. Now onto the tunnel with the ceiling covered in rubber. As Athletes pointed out earlier on, that tunnels do indeed have ceilings, yes. You know what I was talking about. The fact that circuits don't typically have tunnels, therefore it's all open air up above them, whereas tunnel does have a ceiling. I don't want to say that the tunnel ceiling was really low, because it makes it seem like it has a really low ceiling in the tunnel, but it's not. It's just you kind of, you know, your regular standard sort of tunnel that you drive through, but just, yeah, the speed that the cars go through there, and obviously the tyre, or should I say the rubber's flicking up off the tyres as it gets discarded, it ends up getting stuck to the ceiling because it is very, very hot and very, very sticky. It's also why it sticks to the surface of the track as well, apart from the odd few little marbles here and there, which they do they do end up being quite a few after the practice sessions and stuff. Do actually have somewhere around in the cabin here some of that rubber that we actually picked up from Monaco, and I think we also picked up some rubber from Le Mans as well when I visited in 2016. Also did Le Mans in 2018, but didn't pick up any rubber souvenirs with that one. Sounds a little bit naughty. I mean tyre rubber. But here we got the battle between Dynamite Alive and Lumi. Trying to find a way past. Almost looked like he was going to have a little bit of a look to the outside, come into the braking zone for the Nouvelle chicane, but wasn't able to do anything with it. For the moment, he follows the Lamborghini coming through the swimming pool complex. And over the curbs. Now into the braking zone once again. now we come out to begin the penultimate lap of the race for these drivers. Hard onto the brakes, as we can see. Oh, Dynamite Alive was carrying a little bit more speed at the apex, but then also clobbered the wall on the exit as well. It's very unfortunate for him. Oh, that's a big mistake from Lumi. That's Dynamite Alive up the inside. That's side by side coming through Massenet and also Casino Square there. Dynamite Alive with the move around the outside to take that 4th position. It's all caused by Lumi going just a little bit deep going through turn 3. That was the opportunity that Dynamite Alive needed, and he took it with both hands. Lumi was almost able to hold on to it and keep hold of that 4th spot, but Dynamite Alive persisted, managed to get a drive off of turn 4 to take P4. Oh dear, no, that's Lumi round hard into the wall. I think he just caught the Armco on the exit of the chicane there. That spun him right round. I think he clobbered the wall as well, that tyre stack. Definitely got damage to his car. It's both Fubar and Andrex into the pit lane to serve their mandatory pit stop, basically both waiting for the very last moment that they possibly can to do it, just to try and negate any potential clobberings with the wall. Inky Chris under pressure from As Turbo a little bit. I believe that he is also needing to make a mandatory pit stop, and indeed here he is, diving into the pit lane now. Where is he going to come out in relation to the other drivers? Imagine he's going to end up coming out behind Strongest Avenger. There's about 14-15 seconds off the back of Inky Chris when he came into the pit lane. Depends on how long Inky Chris is stationary for. That seemed like a half decent stop there. Back rolling underway. Gets released off the pit limiter. Here comes Strongest Avenger as well. Inky Chris is going to be on the inside of turn 1. It could be side by side coming off this first turn, and Inky Chris, does he get the drive to be ahead? It looks like it's side by side between the two, but the Z4 has managed to hold on to that 7th position and just about pip Strongest Avenger from that. All Inky Chris has got to do now is just hold on to the position, and he'll finish ahead of Strongest Avenger for the start finish line. Here comes Yogurt though, our race leader, across the line to take the win in the final race here. The rerun of round 7 in season 15 of the AOR Project CARS 2 GT3 League. Fubar is coming through the last couple of corners. He comes across the line with a flash of lights. He'll be very pleased with that 2nd place. Dynamite Alive, he's going to be picking up 3rd position, the final podium spot. He'll be pleased with that one as WMDR Martin goes and celebrates by hitting the wall quite hard. Andrex, he'll be coming home in 4th position. Nice, good, consistent drive from him, our season 15 champion. He'll be pleased with that one. Lumi comes home, was going to take 5th position, but because of his time penalty, ends up dropping down into 6th, promoting As Turbo up into 5th. Inky Chris very much under threat from Strongest Avenger, who loses it in the final corner. Clips the wall and spins around. Can he get the car turned around once again? Inky Chris actually goes up into 6th place. Strongest Avenger is parked in the wall there. Do not say he is stuck. Nope, he is just really struggling to get the car turned around at the moment. He accelerates away. He is lost. No further positions. Inky Chris, oh, he goes and pops himself ahead of Lumi as well. How big was the penalty for Lumi to drop that far down? Saying only 2 seconds. Where is Lumi? What is going on there? Why is Lumi dropping so far down the order? I would have thought, did he not cross the start finish line for the final lap? He must have. But here is your final confirmation of results. Yogurt picking up the race win. Who got the fastest lap of the race? Have a look at that as well. Here it looks like it is going to Dynamite Alive. So Yogurt picks up the race win Fubar in second position, Dynamite alive with the final podium spot and the fastest lap of the race. He'll get the one extra bonus point with Andrex in fourth position. As Turbo picks up fifth. Pinky Chris in sixth position with Strongest Avenger in seventh. Lumi, for some reason or another, finishes in eighth, even though I thought he would have finished in fifth. Vidigo in ninth place with WMDR Martin in 10th. Paphos in 11th. Alan picks up P12, Sean Neves in 13th. Trip comes home in 14th position. Tomic does make the finish line for P15. And then Stephen Curry retired on lap 23. And Tony Clifton retired on lap 20. So that is all that racing action that we have had here this season. And with those final championship standings, unfortunately, Inky Chris has not done enough to come away with second position in the championship, and instead he'll be picking up third. The Strongest Avenger will hold on to that second place. So, well, interestingly, actually, I think Inky Chris probably would have picked up the championship if Strongest Avenger didn't cross the start finish line. Although he was ahead of a number of other drivers. What I mean by if he didn't cross the start finish line, if he didn't actually finish the race. But yeah, enough of me waffling. Let's get some drivers in to do some waffling. But let's get our first driver in here, Stephen Curry, our league coordinator.
Oh, me.
Yes, I thought I'd bring you in because I don't think we've had a chat with you all season, have we?
No.
No, exactly. So yeah, I wanted to get you in because I want to say a very, very big thank you for obviously coordinating Tier 1 here for this season. Obviously, the work that you have been putting in, as well as the other coordinators that we have at AOR on the Project CARS 2 league side of things, have done a fantastic job for putting this season together and providing some great, fantastic and racing action. Firstly, how was the race for you? You retired earlier on, unfortunately.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, of course. Was absolutely fun this season. Thank you very much for commentating. I always watched the streams in the real life. Absolutely brilliant.
You're most welcome.
And my race, I had an early spin. It was, I think, 10% damage, aero damage. I thought, well, nothing bad. Just go to the pits early. Yeah, and 5 laps later, I didn't even notice I touched the wall right in front of the tunnel. But the game said 31 suspension damage. And I
Ouch.
had it again. And then, I think it was 1 or 2 laps later, I hit a stalled car and had damage again. That wasn't all too bad. I just lost. I didn't even lose a whole second per lap. So I didn't mind. But then a few laps later again, I checked my damage and saw it was rising. I had, I don't know, out of nowhere, 20 aero damage and suspension damage. And while I was wondering, I completely missed the first turn. Parked my car into the wall right next to Strongest Avenger, and I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go backward, and I then just decided, all right, that's it. I wouldn't probably make a full lap without disturbing anyone or ruining someone's race, and so I just retired. So
That's
yeah.
that's unfortunate. What about the rest of your season, though? You looked like you had a pretty good season. Just bear with me whilst I quickly bring up my driver standing. So you're 15th position in the end. It looks like you have you held on to that one? I think Trip might be fairly close and threatening, but I think you're okay, maybe.
Maybe, I hope. The season overall went. It started pretty well, but I kind of lost it since then. I had some disconnect issues, or the game had. I didn't have. The game decided I should have them. Um, And then I feel like I didn't have the motivation to carry on in Project Cars anymore for this season. And yeah, overall it could have been better. My goal was top 10. I missed it slightly, but I'm very happy. At least, I mean, it's tier 1, so I'm very happy.
Good. Well, I do want to say once again, thank you very much for all the work and effort that you've been putting in here this season and managing this crazy bunch here in tier 1. They're great fun as well. But yes, it obviously your work doesn't go unnoticed and allows us to go racing each week. So thank you very much, and I shall let you go off and enjoy the rest of your evening. You can kind of now chill out a little bit and plan the next season.
All right, I will. Thank you very much again.
Cheers, Stefan. Have a good one, mate.
You too.
Cheers, mate. Right, so that's one driver done. Let's get another driver in. Our race winner, Jorguk. That looked very easy from your perspective. Picking up pole position. And
believe me, it wasn't that easy.
You went from lights to flag in first position the entire way. You're cruising.
Yeah, but I was stressed out because every time I've led in this season, I've spun out or something. So I just trying to keep it on the road and not get any damage. Yeah, in the end, I finished with quite a mighty lead, so I'm really happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy we rerun this race because now I won it. So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Yep, and it's going to be your best result of the season as well. And I imagine, I think you will be jumping up ahead. Yeah, you'll certainly be jumping up ahead of Alan, 4th position. I don't think you were close. Yeah, you're not close enough to pick Inky Chris. So I think you're pretty much confirmed P4 in the overall championship standings. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was trying to get Alan as well, and yeah, in the end I got him, so I'm happy. Really
Good.
happy with this one.
Good, very good stuff. You potentially thinking of returning for season 16 if there is a season 16?
Yeah, definitely. I love the racing. This is my first season, and it's been amazing for me. Like unforgettable experiences and fights. And now people may call me the King of Monaco.
Yes, you do now get that crown. Unfortunately, it's not towards the triple crown as we're not in the F1 cars, but even still, I think we're doing some social, some kind of social triple crown events. I believe Le Mans is one that's coming up. We've had Indy 500. Don't know if you've participated in that one.
Nah, I was a bit lazy that day.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely. I want to see how I'll do in those.
Definitely, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to see how you do as well in the next season. Obviously, congratulations for the win here. Congratulations on P4.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. You can relax for the next couple of months and come back fresh and ready for season 16.
You too. See ya.
Right, cheers, bye bye. Okay. Who should we get next? Let's bring this man in. Came home in the end in P6. Just about managed to hold off Strongest Avenger on track, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough for second position in the championship. Inky Chris, how are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, well, I kind of knew that was going to be the case after last week, but it was still nice to kind of have a bit of wheel to wheel right at the end. It was very close coming out of the pit lane, which was much more exciting than I was expecting. But yeah, it was a fun race. Just kind of kept it clean and kind of tidy. Just hope for the best, and made up quite a few places from where I qualified. So clearly worked out.
Yeah. Did you have much more pace in the car in the qualifying session? I was wondering if you were kind of struggling to find a decent.
I had
gap
about
and
half
get
a
it to happen.
second in quali that I didn't get to put down. It's just one of those things where you cut a corner in quali and it invalidates your next lap as well, and you're like, oh well, I've only got a minute left in the session, so. But yeah, no, it's fine.
Is that what happened at the end?
Yeah, because I would have gone for another lap, but it would have been.
Damn! I was gonna say we were watching you at the time and we were saying like you've got the time to go for one more lap, you've got the fuel to go for one more lap, and then completely bailed on it.
No, I definitely would have. Yeah.
That's very
so that was a shame, but No, it was a nice race. Managed to keep out of trouble, so it's the important thing around there.
Good stuff. Are you eyeing up a potential return for season 16?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at a few other of the leagues at the moment, so like the Formula Renault might kind of join late for that, and the intermediate league and the rookies, which is a very entertaining car to drive. So,
Excellent. That'd be good.
but yeah, we'll see. I guess the question is whether season 16 will be in Project Cars 2 or
Project Cars 3,
the
well,
new one. Yeah,
that's,
don't know how long we have to wait for that one.
I
Yeah.
know, but I can't say.
You do.
I can't
but
say anything.
we can speculate.
Yeah. So,
Imagine
yeah.
we'll eke out another P-Cars 2 one. So yeah, potentially. I think the idea is to team up with Andrex in the Astons. We've always said that we'd want to do it, even though it's not necessarily a race-winning car, but be entertaining, I think.
Oh, interesting shout. Well, that'll certainly
Yeah.
be very, very good, nonetheless. And I'd definitely like to see you back next season. Because it also mean that your
Sure.
grandparents will be back to continue watching the live streams as well.
Yeah, I think my whole
Fantastic that
family
they
was
do
watching
that.
tonight. So that was
Oh wow, excellent.
Yeah.
That's
Shout out to all of those.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for all you guys tuning in, giving you guys a virtual wave here at the screen, even though you can't necessarily see us. But yeah, thanks very much, Inky, and
Great, thank you.
enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations on P3 in the overall championship standings, and I look forward to having you back next season.
Awesome. Take it easy.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers.
Right. Who shall we get? Let's get this one in this time round. You had a very interesting end to the race, but just before we get onto that real quickly, congratulations on second place in the overall championship standings, Strongest Avenger. How are you feeling after tonight?
That's a great thing. I wasn't really expecting to hold the position because this was really not one of the best races I did. Very little practice, literally 1 hour before the race, so I wasn't even counting on being in the top 5. But it was quite clean for me. Haven't had any bigger issues. Just like no confidence on the braking. I just didn't trust the car, and just wasn't the best of the races, but still pretty good. And holding the second position is still good. How much points did I jump, Inky Chris? Do you know?
He's closed up on you. I don't know by how many points exactly. The weird thing is Lumi's dropped down into 8th position in the standings. Did he actually cross the start finish line? Did you see?
I passed him, and he was standing in the dark in front of the line. So I didn't saw did he pass the line. I went in reverse to pick him up, but then the race ended, so I don't know what happened. Did anyone pick him up and push him? I don't know.
Well, he dropped down into 8th position in the end, which I thought was a bit odd because he only had a 2-second penalty. I knew he had a penalty, but when he started dropping down, I thought he had picked up a massive penalty somewhere along the line. But yeah, when I saw it was only 2 seconds, I got very, very confused, as you can imagine.
Yeah, well, that's very unlucky for him. I mean, he lost the fuel, right?
I am going to assume that he ran out of fuel, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Too bad.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. But yeah, well, okay. In that case, if Inky Chris picked up 6th place, you picked up 7th. Give me a second here. 6th would have been 24 points. It would have closed the gap by not 24 points, sorry, by 4 points. So you had a gap of 22, so 18 points you finished ahead of him in the end.
Oh, that's pretty big gap. I was expecting it was quite lower. I even forgot to take a look.
Yeah.
Cool. That's very nice.
Yeah, I think if Inky Chris finished in the 6th place that he did finish in, and you didn't finish the race, then I think it would basically be neck and neck. No, Inky Chris would jump you in that case. He would have taken 2nd, but yeah.
Fun season.
Yeah, definitely. You potentially making a return for season 16?
Definitely. I mean, I really hope it's gonna be it's gonna happen really soon. Really wouldn't like to wait another 3 months or so. But yeah, it's really fun racing, and these guys are really great to race with. So yeah, we'll be back. Although probably not in Acura, really not the most competitive car there in the grid.
But
Um,
you're kind of proving us wrong at the start of the season. It's some very good, strong results.
um, I mean, long story short, it's a good car with if you spend a lot of time in the setup, and if you spend a lot of time in the practice finding the limit for every corner, so you can squeeze out the most of the times for every corner. That's how you basically gain time against other cars. But it's very, at the end of the season, as I can say, it's very uncompetitive, because it's much easier to just slam in on the power on the straights and gain the speed there than spending 60 laps nailing every corner and trying to be as fast as you can. It's really hard. When I'm in the clear, when there is no one in front of me, I usually outpace the Lambos, the MGs. I feel that I'm very strong. But when I'm behind someone, because the car is very reliant on aero grip. That's how you actually hold the car in the corners. It has a lot of aero grip. But when somebody's in front of you, the dirty air is just so powerful, and you're washing away like a soap. There's nothing. When there are two cars in front of you, just penalties are just slamming like on a slot machine. It's crazy. It's really hard to control the car, and that's where you lose time. It's very uncompetitive, because when you exit out of the corner, there is nothing you can do. No slipstream for you. Just it's really hard. So yeah, we'll see. It's a fun car to drive on some tracks, Nürburgring, Watkins Glen, Red Bull, like you know tracks with fast corners. But other ones like maybe Zhuhai is probably the worst track for the car. There's lots of hard braking zones, lots of acceleration zones, things like that. So I'll probably try something else. I got my eye on Aston Martin. It's pretty fun to drive, pretty difficult as well. So we'll see.
Cool. Well, certainly hope to see you back, and it'll be cool to see you in another car as well. Otherwise, congratulations on P2. I'll let you go and celebrate. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and look forward to seeing you back next season.
Thank you for all of your commentaries. You're really awesome, man. Keep the good work, and hope you see you next season.
Thank you very much. I certainly will. All right.
Okay, bye.
Have a good one, Strongest. Bye. Okay. We got 3 more drivers left in the ready for interview room. Let's get one of these in. Right, Andrex. Let's make this real quick. Congratulations, you won the drivers' championship standings. We knew that already because of last race. You claimed that
I
one.
know, but it's still unreal. It's still a shock to the system, to be fair.
How did this
But
race go?
it's the team championship as well, the Fubar, so that's awesome. So salute to Fubar for an awesome result tonight as well, getting P2. A long time coming, but well deserved. Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was my goal at the start of the season, just to kind of do well in the team championship. But yeah, it's a big surprise.
Congratulations. How was the race this evening from your perspective?
It was as expected. A bit of a kind of a drive of attrition. Keep the car clean off the barriers. Barrier avoidance simulator 2020. But yeah, no, it went much better than I was expected. I think I qualified in 7th, which is kind of unheard of, especially on a technical track. So that gave me showed it had some pace at least. And yeah, just firing the laps in and keeping the car clean off the walls, capitalizing on other people bouncing and having problems. And yeah, I had Alan behind me for a while at the start, and I was just scared that I was going to make a big mistake somewhere and wreck my car and take him out. So I kind of let him go through, and yeah, I kind of liked just being on my own almost. It's a bit boring perhaps to watch in terms of not battling for the positions and so on, but it's kind of how I race, and it seemed to have worked pretty well this season. So I obviously didn't need a good result at all this tonight, so I was happy to let other people go through if they were catching us. So, but yeah, it all went well. No damage at all. Back markers were spot on again. Yeah, it's pretty much perfect, really. I was never expecting to be a podium, so it's awesome.
Excellent. I'm guessing you're coming back for season 16. Aston Martin, I believe.
Yeah, there's a strong possibility that we'll bring the V12 next season. The Audi sounded nice going through the tunnel tonight with the V10, so it'd be even lovelier in a V12. It's not a good car for that track. I did a run last night in it, and it was definitely slower. But I've achieved a lot more than I ever thought would be anywhere near reasonably possible for me now. So just have fun, take the car that I really like, even if it isn't the strongest by any imagination. But what is nice to see is the fact that like the top 3 cars in the championship this season, we've got an Audi taking first, and then we've got an Acura in second, and a Z4 in third, which is kind of against the meta of the Lambo and AMG kind of strong cars. But so it was nice. It was nice to see people taking these underdog cars. So yeah, we're going full on underdog next season. We'll see what happens. But
Cool.
I'll just have fun.
Sorry, you say something at the end there?
No. That was just
No?
about having the fun at
Okay.
the end, really, and just enjoying it.
Yeah, good. Well, that's the main point of these leagues and everything. So, yeah, very pleasing to hear. Obviously, once again, congratulations on the overall championship, and as there's a strong possibility of you coming back next season, look forward to seeing you in season 16.
Yeah, just to everyone else out there that's watching, just have a go, sign up. If I can win it, I'm pretty certain pretty much anyone can win it. So yeah, it's lovely to have people watching, but come in and join, sign up, get in and get Yorkie talking about you guys. That'd be awesome.
Definitely, the more people can talk about, the better. But
Anyway, yeah, cheers, guys. I'll sign off, but thanks again for all your coverage throughout the season and all the coordinators' help building the league and getting things running all smoothly. And yeah, it's been awesome.
not a problem. Well, thank you very much for your participation and your contribution throughout the seasons as well. As I know you've been kind of assisting Stephen Curry here as well with this league for this one. But yeah, I'll let you head off and enjoy the rest of your evening, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
All right, cheers, mate. Have a good one. Bye. Okay, let's very quickly get this man in. Atomic, hello.
Hey,
What happened to you up at Massenet and Casino Square? What went on there? Because we saw halfway through the race there was a bit of a pile up.
oh, you caught that? Oh god.
Yes. Well, not
Yeah.
not what caused it, but like it unfolding further with more cars getting involved. That's what I caught.
I just missed the braking into Casino and hit the wall, but then I was parked like in such a weird angle that I couldn't really do much about it, and then all the leaders came behind me, and that was it. It was just a car park.
Ah, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, I wondered if it was a you and possibly Dynamite Alive tripping over each other, or whether it was a mistake by you and Dynamite Alive, and then the others following unfortunately got caught in it. But yeah, that's unfortunate to hear. But at least you finished the race. Good perseverance, and I believe you jumped up a number of positions as well, because you would have scored some points at the end there.
Yeah, I think I was 15th in the end, which is my highest ever GT3 position. So yeah, pretty chuffed with that. It's pretty consistent after that, which was good news. But yeah.
2 positions.
Oh, 2 positions. Sorry, right. Cool.
Yeah, going 2 places. So, well done on that, mate. You plan on doing season 16?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. So, yeah, thank you very much for your participation here this season. Thank you very much for joining us in the come box when we tried to do this round 7 originally, and
Oh yeah.
obviously also joining us for the driver interviews as well. Hopefully we'll get to speak to you a number of times next season as well. But yeah, until then, have fun and take care of yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yoki. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, bye-bye. Right, very last driver in for interview. We've got WMDR Martin wagging the windscreen wiper. Is it still going, even though you switched the car off?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that 1 second? My Discord's acting up.
No worries. I was saying, your windscreen wiper, is it still going despite you haven't turned the car off?
Probably, yes.
I was going to say, that thing never stops. Every single time that I've picked you up, whether it's dry, whether it's wet, snowing, fog, no matter the conditions, the windscreen wiper's always going.
It's an unwritten rule, you know.
We should have to work it into the rules for next season. How did that race go for you? We saw you have a pretty hefty collision with the wall at one point. I know that you spun as well, just in front of a couple of other drivers, but I think you managed to avoid the wall at that point. I think it was fairly early on in the race, about a third of the way in. Talk us through how your evening went.
I think the first spin I had was when I was leading Trip and Loom, who had just pitted, which was probably not such a good decision because he's completely stuck in traffic then. But I think it was after the swimming pool section, I went onto the sausage curb and then lost the back end. I think I got like three front aero damage from that. But for the rest, I was pretty much all right. Then later on, I span again, but still avoided the wall. And I think pretty much midway, well, maybe like 2/3 into the race, I got hit from behind. I forget who it was, but someone was lagging, and he completely smashed into my car after the tunnel.
Ah, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Where did you end up finishing in the end?
I ended up finishing in the top 10, which is nice. I had to hold Pathos behind me, but he was pretty aggressive and probably didn't appreciate some of my moves. But in the end, I still finished ahead, so I'm pretty happy.
That's good. Good. Just trying to figure out now where you ended up in the overall championship standings. Speedy Go didn't finish the race, did he?
Oh, he did?
He did? Where did Speedy Go finish?
I'm not sure. I remember him disconnecting though.
I think you may have jumped Speedy Go in that case for 7th position. I would have thought so. I think, yeah. You would have. Dynamite Alive scored a lot of points. Although he is. Oh, it's going to be close. I don't think he has. Where did you say you finished again?
10th.
10th. He would have picked up 11 points. I think you've. Oh, that's going to be really close actually. He's what, 33 points behind going into the race? 35. Nah, yeah, you've held him off just by the skin of your teeth, like by a couple of points. So yeah, I think you've taken 7th in the overall championship standings. Well done.
Nice. I mean, I was going into this race hoping I could hold 8th, so I definitely didn't expect to take 7th.
Awesome stuff. Well, I shall let you head off and enjoy the rest of your day and evening. And yeah, are you coming back for season 16?
Yeah, definitely coming back for the next season, and who knows, maybe the season after that's going to be on the next game actually, which would be pretty cool.
It may very well be. She'll have to wait and find out. But yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you again in the next season in Tier 1. But yeah, thanks very much, Martin. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the race. See ya.
Cheers, bye. So there we go. The season is complete. We've done the final race, the rerun here of round 7. 10 rounds in total that we have completed. That was the calendar that we did. And yeah, driver interviews done for the last time. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to the AOR channel. As you may have heard from a couple of the driver interviews there, we are running interim leagues, so there may potentially be coverage on those here on the channel. So if you subscribe with the bell notification, you'll be notified each time that we go live, and we do so quite often throughout the week as we have various different leagues on ACC, here on Project Cars 2, iRacing, F1 2019. I believe we've got some dirt rally leagues going as well as a couple of others. So there's plenty of all sorts of flavors for your personal taste, for you to absorb and enjoy watching. So make sure you subscribe. My YouTube channel, as I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, is also down in the description, as well as links to my Twitter as well. It'd be very much appreciated if you went and followed me there. If you want to get involved with the AOR League Racing, there should be a link to the AOR website down in the link below, if not down in the bottom right hand corner of the actual video itself is the URL to the Apex Online Racing website. On there you can sign up, and then once you sign up, go to the forums. You'll find a list of various different forum sections for all the various different games of the leagues that we run here on the AOR League. So feel free to sign up to whatever you fancy if there is something that appeals to you. Other than that though, I've been Yorkie065, and for the final time here in Season 15, thank you very, very much for watching and supporting us here with these live streams. We hope to see you back in Season 16. We hope to see you back in the interim leagues as well. But until the next time, have fun, look after yourselves, and take care.